We're back here on CBS Sports Network. We're this weekend on Paramount Plus, the new home of the UFC. It's Fight Night from Vegas. Here's a look at the main card and really what to look forward to. We're going to break down what to expect and also help you win some money in the process, because that's what we do as we welcome Brian Campbell and Danny Brasco to the show. BC, you're of course going to give us the preview of all these fights, and then Danny, you're going to help us win some money. Let's go ahead and start with this main event, Josh Emmett and Kevin Vallejos. What kind of fight are we in store for, BC?
Well, look, both fighters are great on their feet. Obviously, Emmett has some of the biggest one-punch power we've ever seen in the history of this sport. And boy, is Vallejos showing us some primetime boxing at just age 24. But I wonder, because this is Vallejos' big step up, just his 4th UFC fight, all within less than a year, and he'll be moving up to the 5-round level for the first time, whether we will purposely see a lot more wrinkles in his game. I talked to him this week, and what Kevin told me is because of this 5-round opportunity, he thinks he's going to be a completely different fighter in there. Emmett, at age 41, seems to walk around looking for that one big shot, but the footwork of Vallejos, the wrestling, and really that combination of power, speed, and timing is what has made him so special. He scored a highlight reel knockout of Giga Chikadze in December, and Chikadze had never been stopped before. So you look at this as a perfect crossroads matchup where Emmett has lost 4 or 5, but man, has it come against top-level competition. So we need to find out whether Emmett can hold strong as the elite gatekeeper, or whether Kevin Vallejos at age 24 is truly the next big thing at featherweight.
And BC, I think he's going to have to answer some major questions. You mentioned it. I mean, Josh Emmett, still at 41 years old, extremely durable, excellent cardio. And in his fight against Lerone Murphy, he went a hard 5 rounds. He was the guy that was looking like the fresher fighter at the end of that fight against an elite opponent in Lerone Murphy there. So you see, he's still got it. Now, against submission artists, he struggled. You know, he was famously triangle choked by Yair Rodriguez a few years ago. In his last bout, a quick round 1 submission loss to Youssef Zalal. But I think styles make fights here. I think this is a good matchup and test for a guy in Vallejos that's primarily going to look to strike and box. Now, you mentioned he can wrestle. He can mix up his game as he's evolving, but I think Emmett will make him go that hard 5 rounds. We just saw Loner Kavanaugh prove that he's got the cardio and the intelligence to go a hard 5 with a vet like Moreno. I'm expecting a similar performance here from Vallejos to put it all together. A guy whose smooth boxing and striking aesthetic has drawn comparisons to Ilia Topuria. Speaking of whom, Josh Emmett went a hard 5 rounds against and survived the beating. So I think Vallejos wins a decision. I like that plus 200 prop instead of laying the minus 110 knockout, which is the most expected outcome. Look for a decision in a hard 5 rounds from Vallejos.
All right, I like the value on that one. Let's get to the women on this card. We'll see a strawweight bout between Amanda Lemos and Jillian Robertson. What are you expecting here, BC?
This is a perfect style contrast matchup between striker and grappler. And for Jillian Robertson, who's definitely more of the grappler fighting out of Canada, this really feels like her moment to cross that line into the upper echelon of this division. This is a top 10 matchup at strawweight, rescheduled from December, but Robertson comes in with real momentum. She's won 6 of 7 since moving to this division in 2022, and she's won all 4 of her most recent fights, including a second-round stoppage of Marina Rodriguez. So we are trying to find out through the lens of her grappling, can she move on to that next level? The reason why this is the perfect matchup is because Lemos might be just 1-2 in her last 3, but that victory came against current champion Mackenzie Dern, and Amanda Lemos has shown us in recent years with wins over the likes of Marina Rodriguez, Michelle Waterson, that from a striking standpoint, she's got some of the best power in this division. She knows how to deliver it. She can be vulnerable on the ground at times, although she did stuff 3 of 12 takedowns against wrestling savant Tatiana Suarez last September. So a very interesting test to see if Robertson is truly coming on at 115.
And you said it, BC. You know, this is another stylistic matchup that Lemos is going to have to answer the same question in. The striker, she's one of my favorites still at 38 years old, sharp as ever. I wanted to get there. I wanted to back her in this fight, but I've seen this movie before. Because although against these opponents where she's had to prepare her grappling defense and it has improved, it's just not up to par with the elites. We saw her dominated for all 5 rounds by Weili Zhang's wrestling. You mentioned Tatiana Suarez, the Virna Jandiroba armbar, eventually the grappling pressure from Robertson is likely to mount. And I just can't trust Amanda Lemos' grappling defense at this level. I think Robertson's going to be able to put it all together, and I like her to win this fight. I'm not going to pick the method. I could see it going the full 5 rounds because of Lemos' improved defense, but Robertson's just going to be too much if it gets to an advantageous position on the ground. I like her to win this fight a good deal.
Okay, looking at the rest of the card here, working our way down, let's get a preview of this light heavyweight bout here. Iwan Cuțelaba and Umar Sy. Iwan, actually, looking here, enters as the favorite. BC, how do you see this one playing out?
This should be interesting. Look, we know the Hulk Iwan Cuțelaba brings it, not only in the weigh-in when he typically puts that paint on his body and gets all Incredible Hulk-like, but obviously he is an aggressive fighter who brings it every single time, win or lose. Now look, he's coming off a somewhat disputed split decision loss to Modestas Bukauskas in May, and had he gotten the nod, that would have been 3 in a row for him. What makes this contest interesting is that Umar Sy has shown some potential here since coming to the UFC. He's 30 years old, out of France, 12-1 overall, and he's going to bring in advantages of 3 inches in height, 8 inches in reach, but most importantly, a much more decorated ground game. He's a very effective wrestler, especially when he's letting his hands go to set up the takedown opportunities. We've seen Umar Sy get a little bit humbled in the decision loss to Alonzo Menafield 2 fights ago, but he bounced back nicely with a first-round stoppage of Brenson Ribeiro. This has very interesting tones to it contrast-wise between the aggressiveness of Cuțelaba and the length and wrestling of Sy. It will be interesting to see which light heavyweight will move on, because right now you can see a need in this division to reset and reestablish a new set of young and rising contenders, and both of these guys are firmly in their physical prime to do so.
I mean, 6'4", 83-inch reach. The guy is huge, even for a light heavyweight, and I think that's the key advantage here, because Cuțelaba is a physical grappler himself. They have similar skill sets, but when he doesn't have that physique advantage, I think that's going to be an issue for him against the guy in Sy that BC mentioned. Got humbled already against Alonzo Menafield. I think that level check is going to help him develop his game. We saw the big bounce-back win, a first-round finish over Brenson Ribeiro. If it gets to the floor, whoever gets top position is going to control that round, and I feel like Umar Sy is going to get there and stay there. I like him to win this fight over Cuțelaba.
Okay, sounds good to me. I want to get to this featherweight bout, though. Andre Fili and Jose Miguel Delgado. What are we paying attention to in this one, BC?
Definitely the power and aggressiveness that Jose Miguel Delgado brings to the table. He's 27 years old, fighting out of Phoenix, 10-2 overall. And even though he's just 2-1 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Nathaniel Wood in which he missed weight and certainly needs to account for in this matchup, what we've seen so far of Delgado is just absolute chaos. He scored a 26-second knockout of Haider Emil last June. He'll bring big speed and power advantages, not to mention the youth against touchy-feely. But when you're talking about Andre Fili at age 35, he's been nothing but consistent from the standpoint is he'll win one, he'll lose one. He's done that over his last 8 fights. He can be a tough out. He can also come up empty when called upon to take that step up to the next level. A very interesting veteran versus prospect matchup where we're going to see if Fili's chin can hold up and whether he can hold off Delgado, who's fighting with that Mexican-American pride and spirit and seems to be one of the more exciting risers from an offensive standpoint.
And BC, I just simply don't see Fili's chin holding up. He's been taking damage at this later stage in his career. That nasty knockout loss to Dan Ige and the quick submission to Melky Costa. I feel like Delgado's too dangerous of an opponent here. He's getting revenge for that BS loss to Nathaniel Wood. The judges got that one wrong. He put damage on Wood. I think he's going to put damage early on Fili with knees and elbows inside or rangy shots from the outside. I like him to win this fight by knockout.
Elsewhere in the featherweight division, we're going to see Marwan Rahiki and Harry Hardwick. How do you see this one ending, BC?
This is going to be wild. This should be a fun one to find out at featherweight who's going to make some moves, because Marwan Freaky Rahiki, yes, a spectacular nickname, fights out of Australia. He was born in Morocco, but he's 7-0 as a professional with 7 stoppages. This will officially be his UFC debut after scoring a thunderous second-round finish via vicious elbow, as you see right there in his Dana White Contender Series bout last October. He got hurt early in that fight, but showed a great chin and great great resolve and bounce back. And look, he's taking on a tough veteran here in Harry Hardwick, who came in on short notice in his UFC debut, but did enter with a lot of buzz coming out of the Cage Warriors promotion in the UK. He ended up losing a first-round TKO via leg kicks and had to be wheelchaired out of the arena. So you know that's certainly going to motivate him to want to come back. He hasn't gone the distance in a fight, Harry Hardwick, since 2022. So we have a real potential to see some explosiveness, but it's going to be up to Hardwick to show that durability against someone like Freaky Rahiki, who I know Danny knows he likes to bring it.
Man, this guy is an exciting young prospect. His determination and durability in that Dana White Contender Series fight where he came back for the knockout win was tremendous. So I just feel like the athleticism and the explosiveness is going to be too much for Hardwick. Despite having that experience advantage, now that lead leg is going to be a target of his opponents after what happened in his last bout. It was brutalized. I don't see him being able to defend that against a rangy guy like Rahiki. I think he gets a stoppage win.
Let's go ahead and end here with Vitor Petrino and Steven Asplund. BC, bring us home with these two heavyweights.
Oh, this is going to be a wild one for as long as it lasts. Petrino, it fights out of Brazil. He had a good start to his UFC career at light heavyweight, going 4-0, but he suffered back-to-back stoppage losses and has reinvented himself nicely at heavyweight. 2-0 with 2 stoppages in 2025. He's built like a comic book superhero there, a rare heavyweight with abs, and who he's fighting couldn't be more of a contrast. A high-volume striker in Steven Concrete Asplund, who got a lot of fame in his Dana White Contender Series win and then his UFC debut win, just from the standpoint that he used to weigh over 500 pounds, and he has a very personal, heartwarming story of getting himself to this level. Well, your reward for getting here is dealing with the big-time striking of Petrino. This one may not go the distance, Danny. I don't know about you.
It's a banger, and since Petrino's move up to heavyweight, he's looked to have that athleticism and speed advantage over bigger opponents, but he may not have that against Steven Asplund, who throws unprecedented volume for a big man. I mean, 170 significant strikes landed in his last bout. He dirty boxes, the elbows and knees on the inside. Really, I think he's going to have to defend takedowns. Petrino may not like standing up with a guy that's nasty on the feet like this. If he can stay off the ground, I think he can bark as a dog. The intangibles, give me Steven Asplund for big plus money.
You two know where to find me, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, making some money thanks to Danny Brasco and watching all things UFC thanks to BC. It's Fight Night from Vegas. Main card gets underway Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount Plus, the new home of the UFC.